Intifada comes from the three-letter root nafd, NFD, which means to tremble, to shake, something. So Intifada was the shake-up, the grassroots shake-up in Palestine in the late 80s against Israeli military occupation. And so luckily we have nationalized that term and it's become equivalent to Palestinian revolt. The very much another linguistic achievement would be the word sumud, S-U-M-O-U-D, which means staying put, being steadfast, resilient, perseverance. So sumud is the state of being. Intifada is the state of revolting while you are being. So we are revolting, we are shaking the ground, the grassroots. So the Intifada that happened in the late 80s is the first one. Then the second one happened in the early noughties when Sharon audaciously went into Al-Aqsa Mosque to antagonize Palestinians. And this is the one starting now. Some people refer to it as Intifadat al-Quds, the Jerusalem Intifada. Others are referring to it as Intifadat al-Asima, the capital, as in the capital city, Intifada. So it means shaking, trembling from the roots upwards. The way it manifested itself in the first Intifada was incredible. When there were strikes all over the place, schools were closed, either by striking or because the occupation imposed a state of closure on a certain area. There were study groups all over the houses, people running secret study groups, secret schools, self-sufficiency even in what they ate. The stones with the children, there was that what's become now cliche, the whole David and Goliath thing. And every Intifada had a symbol. So, for instance, on the first Intifada, one of the symbols was the little child holding a stone and stoning a tank, a military tank, an Israeli, and it's become iconic. Two images so far from this Intifada, and I am positively and audaciously referring to it as Intifada. Two images have now really come to surface. The first one was the 14-year-old child a few days ago. One child attacked and arrested by a platoon of 23 gutless, ballless Israeli soldiers with his eyes blindfolded and him looking at the sky. His head was way up there and they're just trying to, one of my friends called it takes 23 hyenas to arrest one lion. So a good friend of mine said that, it's not my quote. And the other iconic image that's just all over the place at the moment is the double amputee activist from Gaza, Ibrahim Abu Thuraya, who was killed by a sniper on the borders of Gaza 3 days ago. He lost his legs in one of the Israeli onslaughts on Gaza in 2008, and then he lost his life 3 days ago. This guy was holding the flag, standing tall with no feet and no legs on his ancestral homeland. That alone was terrifying. That alone was terrifying for the Zionists to think this guy is dangerous. And he was shot in the head by a sniper. So these two images so far, and we need to take hope from these images and these people. And I found out through my research, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't know about this young man, and he'd been his family's breadwinner, cleaning cars. He was a fisherman, a very active fisherman until he lost his legs, thanks to the Israelis and their humane army. So he started washing cars. He was the breadwinner of his family, and he no longer is at the moment. And what can I say? So the point is, if Israel is intimidated by a 14-year-old child and by a double amputee flag-holding young man, that says something about their sense of security and their sense of morality. And one thing they're afraid of more than anything else is moral isolation. And that, for me, is the greatest thing to do, is to morally isolate Israel. And one of the many ways to do that, and one of the most successful ways, is BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanctions. It works in South Africa. Inshallah, it will work in Palestine.